Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Adam Scott, one of the joint coordinators of PronSIG from IATEFL, together with Gemma Archer, and we're delighted to welcome you here today to join Jabba Kamali, who's going to be talking about how to teach pronunciation creatively. Jabba is an author, teacher trainer, director of studies, and speaker in the field of ELT. He is a university lecturer at Varangian University, a specialized teacher education university, and a PhD candidate of TEFL Al-Hamed Tabatabai University. I'm sorry about that, Jabba, in Tehran, in Iran. He has been a TESOL and TEFL lead trainer for different TESOL and TEFL providers and has been training teachers for almost 10 years and running various workshops in different institutions and universities. Being a researcher for almost 10 years, he has published a number of articles in international journals and presented in different conferences worldwide, and we welcome him here today. Jabba, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Adam. I'm very happy to be a part of this webinar today, and I'm gonna say hello to everyone from different parts of the world. I'm very happy to see you here from Argentina, Ukraine, Italy, Iran, France, and lots of other places. I'm very happy to see all of you. So, guys, I have to thank IATEFL at first, IATEFL PronSIG specifically, and Adam and Gemma for their endless support and help to run this webinar, and I hope we can make a good achievement at the end of it. So, as you know, the topic for today is how to teach pronunciation creatively, and I'm sure that you know a lot of things about pronunciation and teaching pronunciation, but we're going to work on it a bit more practically than theoretically today. So the aim of this session is discussing some ways of teaching pronunciation creatively. So we're going to think out of box today. And you know that teaching pronunciation, most of you, I think all of you are teachers, and you know this part is a bit problematic for teachers. It is not something I'm just telling you by myself, but it comes from the observation I've had during several years, and seeing that teachers sometimes skip teaching pronunciation, or teaching pronunciation becomes a very mechanical part of class without any student engagement. So that's why this is the incentive of running this workshop or this webinar, just putting it into the webinar today. But pronunciation in English is a bit more important than other languages. Of course, I don't know all the languages, but when it comes to Farsi, for example, it becomes easy. The pronunciation becomes easy. And there is one important reason for that. The reason is here. I think you have seen these two words before. If you haven't seen, can you just tell me how you can pronounce these words? You can just write it in the chat box. And again, hello to everyone. So you're writing and waiting. Very good. Yeah. Very good. So some of you could good. Now, some of you could guess because you have heard them before, but if you haven't heard them, it becomes very difficult to guess what this word is because you cannot find a one-to-one correspondence between letter and sounds. So the thing is that some of you could guess correctly. This is fish, the first one, an example by Bernard Shaw to show how spelling and pronunciation of English are different. You see that in the first one, you can read GH as the word enough, so it's a fair sound. O sound like the word women, and you can read it as E. and ti like the word nation, and you can read it as share, so it becomes fish. The next word, se, can be pronounced as share like the word shore. E can be pronounced as bread like e, and gh like enough as fair. So we can say this is chef. So you see that uh, reading the word or pronouncing the word from the letters, you can see it becomes a bit problematic for the learners of English. That's why working on pronunciation of English is very important, and we have to take it into serious consideration. That's why we're going to work on it in this webinar. However, what I'm going to talk about is not the way we pronounce the words, is the way we teach pronunciation. So I talked about the importance of pronunciation, and now I'm going to just tell you how we can teach them. So I'm sure you're familiar with different ways of teaching pronunciation, with different techniques, and there are lots. I have observed lots of classes. Teachers were really professional in teaching pronunciation sometimes. In some other classes, I saw some bored students in pronunciation part of famous course books because the teacher didn't go for techniques of teaching pronunciation and just a kind of parrot-like mechanical drills I've observed. So that's why we have a kind of mixture of teachers who know how to teach pronunciation and teachers who just skip it because they don't know how to teach it. We're going to talk about 5 techniques today. However, before talking about these techniques, I want you to share any technique of teaching pronunciation you're familiar with, and I'd like you to write it in the chat box. So if you know any technique, please write it in the chat box, the name of it only. Wow, multiple attendees are right, typing good. I like the rods, parsa, that's good. Good, group together the vowels. Massa, drill, marina, drilling in Jollyphonics. Tongue twister, Sue, great. Homophones, Vicky, amazing. The homophones are really good ideas. Using native language pronunciation. Shocking technique, Andrea, that's amazing. I like that. You have never applied, okay. Minimal pairs, yeah. Colophonics, good. Riddles, Rudy, it's amazing, yeah. Syllable stress. Yeah, maybe we will ask her about shocking technique. That's really nice. Very good. Thank you very much. Very nice ideas. The thing is that I'm going to just tell you something about these techniques, and I want you to think critically about these techniques and just find out some other techniques you can add to these. The thing which is very important is you are supposed to just get the hint today and try to expand it by your knowledge and try to use it in your own classes. Maria, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, exactly. Uh, Today we're going to work on both segmental features and suprasegmental features a bit. So the techniques I'm going to work on today are these 5: phonetic symbols, rhyme, gesture, rods, and drills. So most of you mentioned these things, but how we can make them a bit more engaging for learners and students is the one we're going to focus on. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is phonetic symbols. When we talk about the phonetic symbols, we're dealing with a bunch of sounds. Maria, they are techniques. I'm going to talk about these techniques. When you just talk about phonetic symbols, you can see that there is a bunch of sounds, and it becomes very boring for the learners to just see that this is E, this is E, this is O, this is P, B, and whatever. So whenever we wanted to work on this, we have to think how we can make it a bit more engaging for the learners. Kind of gamification, we could say. I'm going to show you a field that shows how we can make it a bit more interesting and how we can work with it. And then at the end, we're going to have a very short discussion on what happened in the movie and how we can play it. Let me just show you this.
One is think. Very good. You couldn't do that. Thank you. Next one. So, next word is up. Oh, no. Thank you very much. Go back. Next word. Hurry up. Next word is mother. Good. Thank you very much. Next word is cat.
Cat. Right.
Oh, no, thank you. That one. Yes. Okay, good. And the last word. The last word. This is visual.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Jabber, the video has finished for us. Jabber, can you hear us? So everybody, I think that we've got a slight problem with Jabber's internet connection at the moment. Apologies, this does sometimes happen. Jabber, are you there? So apologies for this technical hitch, everybody. Please stand by and we'll resume the webinar as soon as possible. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, so guys, can you hear me? Okay, so can you hear me, guys? Yeah, good. Okay, fine. So you see that this is a word for this is a technique for reviewing some uh, sounds with the learners, and it is more engaging. You have some kinesthetic activities, and in this way they are more engaged in doing the thing. So this is for recognition of the sounds, but there are lots of other ways we can just do even the production of the sounds, doing with production of the sounds. I'm going to show you another film. You are going to name this game, and just, it's a very short clip, and just tell me what is happening in this game. So you're going to watch it, name the game, and just tell me what is happening in the game. So let me just show that film.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Okay, that's good. So can you tell me what happened in this game? I know it's a bit confusing at first, but let me know what happened in this film. Can you name this game, or what is happening in it? Rhythm. Okay. Sorry, Andrea, could you see that? So that's good. Let me just explain what happened. As you saw, it's a kind of bowling game. There are some bowling pins there with some sounds on, and they are going to hit the uh, pins with ball. And if they can hit one of the sounds, they're supposed to make a word with that sound. So making words with the sounds on the bowling pins. If they can hit all of them, they are supposed to make all the words with all the sounds. So in this way, they are producing the words with the sounds that are on the pins. So the thing is that in the first activity with board games, we are trying to make the learners recognize the sounds. But in this bowling game, we are going to make the learners produce the sound. So the difference is the recognition and production of the sounds with those words. So, yep, mostly, even for adults, I'm not dealing with young learners. For young learners and teenagers, it's a must. But even for adults, it is motivating and engaging. So I said that the point is that sometimes the pronunciation activities become very boring and very tiring for the learners because they don't like doing the thing. So that's it. So Thank you very much. This is the first technique, and you can do lots of other things. You can just draw some circles in the middle of the class and ask the learners to jump on the, for example, sounds. You can write the sounds in the middle of the class into circles and ask the learners to jump into the sounds they hear. The thing is that think out of box and make it more engaging for the learners. Okay. Next one we're going to work on, the next technique is the technique of rhyme. And music is in human blood, so we all like music and we all like listening to music and we all like using music. That's why when we are in the bathroom, mostly we just start singing, and this is in our blood. That's why this rhyming can help. I want to just tell you how we can do this. It's a very simple thing, just having the rhyme of the sound, the rhyme of the word, the rhyme of the phrase, and the rhyme of the sentence. I really want you to repeat after me whatever you hear. So, of course, I just imagine that you are repeating after me because I cannot turn on your microphone. So I say the first word, listen, interesting, interesting. Now I go for the rhyme of it. Interesting. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. So you see, just the rhyme, just the music of the word can be helpful. They can remember, specifically when it comes to a stress pattern, it becomes easier for them to just remember how they can pronounce it. Yes, Sarah, that's a really good idea, Sarah. Yes. Next one, the phrase, the roof of the house. The roof of the house. You say, the da 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 da. The da 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 da. So you can remember, they can remember what the sound, what the rhyme of the word is. It is really helpful for the intonation of the language. Next one is like this. I have a pen in my bag. I have a pen in my bag. So you say, you say, da 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 da. So see that in this way we are pronouncing the word, not only the word, but we are trying to remember, and we're trying to make them remember the sound, the rhyme, and the intonation, and even the music of language. So this is the one that we just do recommend to teachers to do in their classes, because I said it becomes easier to remember. So the second technique we're working on is the rhyming. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Stress pattern, intonation. When it comes to sentence and phrase, it's good for intonation. Yes, Miriam, I do agree with that. Okay. Let's get to the next one, which is gesture. And I'm going to tell you why at first, the reason of doing gesture for teaching pronunciation or teaching language even. And then we're going to just go for the how of it and how we can do this. Why do you think gesture is helpful in teaching pronunciation? Not only pronunciation, in different aspects of language. Any idea about it? Memorable, visual support, very good. More visual, that's it. Very good, so good for visual learners. Tatiana, universal means of communication. So great, never forget the action, that's amazing. Aliona, nonverbal language plays a very important role. I do agree with that. That's it. You are all right. And just a bit more from the neuroscience, I can say that the gesture is in the right hemisphere of the brain, and language is the left hemisphere. And using the gesture to teach language means using the whole brain for learning the language, and it is really helpful. So you can use the whole brain capacity for learning the language. That's why for pronunciation is an exception, so you can use the gesture for using that. Even for teaching grammar, I use gesture. For example, when I want to talk about the forms, for example, I say present perfect is like this, starting the past continues up to now. I use to be going to like this, planned future. I use, for example, past perfect like this, action happened in the past before another one. So having these gestures can help you make the learners learn easier, have a better uh, connection with, we can say, the term you're teaching, and lots of other things. So this is why gesture is helpful. But how we can do it for pronunciation, I'm going to just tell you uh, how we can ask the learners to do some gesture. Instead of you doing the gesture, the learners can do it. You can do this with a stress pattern. I'm going to work on it in a stress pattern, of course, on the gesture. Like, for example, when you say interesting, you show it with your hand movement, interesting, or you can say, for example, content, or you can say, for example, content. This is a gesture you can use to show the stress pattern. But even you can, but you can go further and use learners to use gesture for learning the stress pattern. Let's watch the film to see how it works.
Yes.
The first word is nanny. Very good. Second one. The word is accountant. Accountant. Very good. Next word. So listen carefully. Judge. Very good. Thank you. Next one. So, taxi driver. Taxi driver. Very good. Thank you. And the last word is translator. Translator. Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's good. So some of you said you couldn't see what happened in the film. Let me just explain. Some of you saw and gave some. Just yeah, Adam, you're right. I can't see that. Goddamn COVID. The thing is that they are enjoying. The thing is that it is engaging. The thing is that they are learning. So I want to say that we have to think. We have to think critically. You can do lots of other activities with this. I'm going to show you another film, just doing not that much kinesthetic, but yeah, just explain what's happening. There are four students. Each one represents one syllable of the word, and I just read the word from four syllables to one syllable even. If it is, for example, four syllables, three of them should sit down, one stands up, and it stands for the stress syllable. If there are two syllables, two of them go out, two stands, one of them stand up, one of them sit down, and it means that it shows that where the stress is. In this way, you're just working on a stress pattern. And as you know, English is a stress-timed language. It's very important to work on the stress pattern of the word, and this is the really good way to do that. Another one, let's watch another film. You tell me what's happening here.
Nanny. Good. Second word is accountant. 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 Accountant, very good. That's good. Next word is judge. Next word is taxi driver. Taxi driver. Good, thank you. And the last one is translator. Translator. That's good, thank you very much.
So, yes, Amanda, I do agree with that. For both families can be really helpful, especially when the stress change. Yeah, you're right. Good. So the thing is that in this time, instead of just sitting down and standing up, they can just raise their hands. They can sit there and in their own places, and they raise their hand like this or like this. And this is the way we can make it a bit more engaging for the learners. The good question, Maria. Which level of the students? I think the stress pattern is something they should be aware of from the very beginning. So when we start with the very simple words, when you can do these activities in the class, and depends on the session, depends on the level of the learners, depends on the words. It can be, we can say, It can be adapted for different levels. That's it. So the next one, which is a very famous forms of working on rods. Many thanks to Jim Scriven and his great book, Learning Teaching. One of the things that we can do is working with rods. Cuisinart rods, you can just get them from Amazon, but you can just use it with Legos in a very easy form. You can have the Legos like this, okay? And they show again the stress pattern or the intonation. It is good mostly for suprasegmental things. So, and you are going to just showing these things. For example, this could be a good form to show the word abolish. Oh, you can show it like this, is abolish. So where is the stress? It's on the second syllable. So you see that on the syllable. Oh, this one. That's great. So that's great, Adam. If you have the rods, that's amazing. So you can just do this. So this is content, stress on the first syllable. But what about this? This is content, stress on the second syllable. So you can just show these things to the learners and understand what it is. Even you can just show it the sentence way that I have a, like this. I have a pen. I show it like this. It's very difficult to show it, but I'm trying to do my best. Let me just put it in this way. Can you show this? Can you see this? I don't know if it is possible to be seen. That's it. So you can see it like this. So we can even show this form in this one. So you see, I have a pen. I have a pen. So in this way, you can just show where the stress of the sentence is, where the stress of the word is, and this is a way to show it instead of just making the learners. Or you can make it in a group work. They sit together, give them some words, and they try to just put them into the correct place. I do recommend you to watch the film on Learning Teaching Book by Jim Scrivener. It's a great idea. You can just see how they can use it with Legos, with rods. These Cuisinart rods can be more helpful because it can show that which part of the word. I can remember the sentence that Scrivener had an example on is, I'd like you to buy me a nice box of chocolate. And chocolate is the biggest, the most emphasized word there, syllable there. And for example, I'd like you to buy me, and buy has got a kind of a stress. And this is the way you can work on it. And in this way, you can just make the learners engaged in what the word is, how they can pronounce a sentence, how they can pronounce a phrase, and other things. Thank you, John. And Joanna, if I'm not mistaken in your name. And you can just see that. Good. Good. So, and the last one, but not the least one, surely is Trills, a very famous type of working, maybe the most common way of working on pronunciation. However, the drills is sometimes parrot-like and sometimes mechanical, sometimes boring. How we can just change them? I do recommend you to read. Do you know any types of drills? Anyone can share anything with us? Any type of drill you're familiar with and you think it's really helpful for the learners? Yeah, repetition is a very famous one. Substitution drill, transformations, back chaining, and Andrea, very good. I do believe in back chaining. So yeah, of course, Trill's ideas came from, rooted in audiolingualism. However, there are lots of ideas, and the one I'm going to work on, it comes from audiolingual method, but the way that we can change it into meaningful drills, that becomes even more fun for the learners. You're right. I'm going to just tell you about these 13 techniques. 12 of them are in the book, Richards and Rogers' very famous book on methods. And page, you can see the pages. But I added back chain or back chaining drill or back chain drill to the end of it, which is really helpful for pronunciation. How can we do this back chaining drill? Is that you start from the end, but be careful about the kind of connected speech. Imagine the sentence is this: Nissans are made in Japan. Nissans are made in Japan. So when you want to have back chaining, you say it's from, this sentence is from Headway book. It's like this: Nissans are made in Japan. So you say din Japan. Repeat after me, please. Din Japan. They're made in Japan. Nissans are made in Japan. So in this way, you can go for assimilation, you can go for connected speech, for the connection between the sounds. And it's very important not to say in Japan are made in Japan. Nissans are made in Japan because you are going to just focus on the connected speech. So in Japan, so made in Japan, Nissans are made in Japan. So in this way, you can just make the learners, it becomes easier because it goes to chunks, and chunks is easier to remember than the whole sentence or the whole phrase or whatever. Even when it comes to words, say for example, we can say for example, how can I say that? Specificity. So it's a bit difficult to pronounce. Specificity, ficity, city, ficity, specificity. Okay. In this way, you can even for words, especially the long words, you can work on it. And in back chaining, they can just understand what it is. I do recommend you to read the other forms of drills. They are really helpful ones, and they can help you in having more meaningful, more fun, more engaging drills in the class. If you just say a word, a sentence, and they repeat it, this is not the thing this is not the thing they are. I mean, learners are searching for, waiting for, and they can make them engage in the learning. So it's better to use different forms of drills in teaching pronunciation. For example, uh, the one I really like in drills is, for example, the rejoinder ones. In rejoinder, you say, be polite and answer me. You say, thank you. And they should answer, you're welcome. Say, may I take one? They say, certainly. So this is the one, it's called rejoin the repetition. It's really helpful and it's not repetitive. It's a kind of ping pong activity. You say the thing, they answer you. And with different gestures, for example, you can say, be polite, uh, thank you, they say you're welcome. For example, be angry and say you're welcome. Say, you're welcome. And you change with the intonation, they change the intonation, you work, the word is the same, but the way you say it is different. And that non-verbal communication you can provide with. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Marianne. Uh, good, good. Thank you. So, yeah, I think you can solve the problem of the lags and other things. Yeah. But we talked about 5 activities. Can you remember the activities we've talked about and write it in the chat box? Can you remember them? Just write all the 5 activities or whatever you remember and then upload in the chat box. Yes? Good. Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. Now, I've got a part of a famous coursework, Cutting Edge, 2013, from pre-intermediate. This is a part of pronunciation. I want you to think about it for 2 minutes and just tell me how you can teach this pronunciation part. Which of these techniques do you think is the best for teaching this pronunciation part? Thank you very much, guys. So the question is this: how would you teach this pronunciation part? And which of those techniques do you want to use to teach this pronunciation part? I'm going to give you 1 minute to think about it and write there which technique and why. So 1 to 2 minutes, think about it, please. Thank you. No, Zain, that's good. Tiziana, it's ball game. That's a good idea. Amanda, ball game. Good. IPA is in touching their throats. Oh, that's about the and te difference, yeah. Repetition. Replacement for the reinforcement. Good, Marianne. Sylvie, that's great. Yeah, that's a great idea. Having the symbols taking up the symbols. Yeah, good. The bowling sticks can be helpful. Drilling, yeah, not bad. But you should think about what type of drilling you need to work on. Rods can be helpful here. Back chaining. Yeah, good. So because the end of the word is important, back chaining can be helpful. Proper word. Yeah, yeah, Sylvie, that's great. Yeah, Liz, great. They can jump on it. Very good idea. I just gave you that example that having a circle writing it, and you just ask them to read the word. They should jump on it, the, or te. Great. Thank you very much. Great ideas. This is what I really mean. That this webinar can be a kind of trigger for you to just think out of box and see how we can work on pronunciation a bit more differently in the class to make it more interesting and engaging for the learners. Thank you very much, guys, for sharing your ideas. Uh, so today we discussed the ways of teaching pronunciation creatively. The thing is that the ideas I gave you are just ideas, and you can have millions of ideas. Practitioners, teachers, they really know how to do it. Get the thing, and I just want you to go on with others and create your own ways of teaching. Okay, that's good. Thank you very much. And the last thing, I don't want you to answer this question. Just think about it. Which of these techniques are the best for your context and why? Don't give me an answer. Just think about it for 1 minute. And then Gemma, I think, is going to be with us for the end.
Thank you, Jabber, so much for that fantastic
Again.
presentation, giving us all lots of food for thought, and I'm sure everyone will be taking away some of your techniques to try in class on Monday. So we have some time for questions. If you have any questions for Jabber, you can write them in the chat box and he will respond.
Well, Marianne, ask it, please. Good. Yeah. What advice would you give me to start teaching science at a very low level? Let's find it again. But even with all learners document. So I can find Marianne's question. Oh, very good. So yeah, because we go for online sessions mostly nowadays, the ideas that we can do is the one that, for example, asking the learners to just you cannot use teamwork mostly nowadays in this situation. You can ask them to do it with their uh, hand, for example, with their fingers. That kind of, for example, raising hand or sitting or standing up with the stress pattern can be done with fingers. The thing is that you have to ask them individually to do it. So you have to think about these activities, how we can do them in the online classes. Think critically about, and you can find lots of ideas. I said one of them is this. The thing we have to consider is mostly they should be done individually. That's the point. I hope you could answer you. And from the very low level, you can work on it. Drills is the best for low levels, but try to make it interesting. There are 13 ways of drills I talked about and can be really helpful. So, is there any question I missed? So the ball game, sorry, you can just see it in the film, the YouTube channel. Gemma and Adam and Beata are going to help you. Kim asked, teaching phonetic symbols. Why not? It, teaching phonetic symbols is helpful. They can understand how they can pronounce the words. But the thing is that you should teach it creatively. You should teach in an engaging way, an interesting way that I talked about. Thank you, Maria. Yeah, pronunciation basket, Sylvie. You have got really good ideas. Great. So, Peter, is the question of how to encourage adults in taking. I have no problem really encouraging adults do these kind of activities, the games and other things. Even in teacher training classes, teachers do it with lots of enthusiasm. I think that the inborn child, I can say inner child of people is very much alive, and we have to just take it into consideration. They really enjoy that. I didn't want to encourage them. They encouraged me to do this, so I think they really like it. Just the problem is with teenagers a bit because they think that it is a bit childish for them. So we have to be careful about those that range of age. So the symbols, the ones. Let's consider teaching. Yeah, that's a good question. Many teachers do not know the symbols, and the ones that know them do not have practical um, ideas to take them into the class. Um, Very good concern, Tariq, if I'm not mistaken. Very good concern. We need to have the knowledge that teacher language awareness is very important for teachers. I do recommend you to know the language you're teaching well, and then you can teach it well to the learners. If you don't know it well, you cannot teach it. Yes, not only you have to know what you can say the phonetic symbols are, you need to know how to teach it creatively. So two types of knowledge we need. First, the knowledge of the language. Second, the knowledge of teaching language. So both together, the combination of both can be helpful. But at first, you need the knowledge of the language. That's good. Yes, it's a very important thing to just what can I say, promote the spirit of teamwork, the spirit of um, cooperation in the class than competition. Of course, the word I just really like is coopetition. It means a competition with cooperation. It it is your attitude as a teacher, you can promote it in the class. Not make it that much competitive in the class, but there is a competition, and the other part, cooperation, it can be helpful. So that's a good thing. Oh yeah, good. I think one of you talked about the shocking technique, and I'm really interested to know what it is. If you can just tell me what shocking technique is, I'd be very. Uh, it's been very appreciated by me. Just tell me if you know what it is. Who proposed this? Yeah, doing as Andrea said. Uh, Shocking technique is using English phonemes in a language. In her language, Spanish, I think. In my it could be nice. Alveolar plosives you can see in this form. Oh, Sylvie said our school do this. We have to be very careful without any result. We have to be very careful about using L1 into L2, teaching L2, specifically when it comes to pronunciation, because sometimes it becomes problematic and confusing. That's good. Thank you very much. This is the end of the session by me. I need to thank all of you for participating in this webinar. I hope I could give you some ideas to think more critically about how to teach pronunciation. It was a great honor for me to talk today. Many thanks again to Adam and Gemma and IATEFL, specifically IATEFL PronSIG. And I hope we have the, we can say, uh, opportunity to have more talks and be in your presentation. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe. Goodbye.
Thank you, Jaber, again, and thank you for all your answers. They've been really interesting to listen to, and I'm sure we're all going to be taking them into our classroom on Monday, or a virtual classroom maybe. A couple of things before everyone departs, other than thank you for attending. First of all, if you'd like a certificate for attending, I've just popped the link to the certificate in the chat box. Please feel free to download and enter your own name into the certificate as proof of your attendance, and that will be live for about 2 hours. So if you'd like the certificate, please download it now. The other thing to say as well before we finish, a couple of things, couple of news points from PronSIG. In fact, one other thing before I get onto that, the webinar recording is going to be available on our YouTube channel from tomorrow. So if you go onto YouTube and put in PronSIG, you will get the link for this recording if you'd like it. And we'll also ask Jaber for the slides as well, and have the slides available for you on our website. So finally, PronSIG has a couple of points of interest which you might like to know. First of all, we are recruiting. Our committee is looking for some volunteers, and I'm going to bring up some information for you on these opportunities. Give me 1 second. So we are looking for 2 webinar coordinators. If you've enjoyed coming to any of our webinars and you'd maybe like to participate and help out, we're looking for some hosts to help us with this going forward and to help us to share more online content as we go forward. So if you'd be curious or interested in learning how to do this and joining the PronSIG committee, do get in touch. If you are looking for a different kind of volunteer position, we're also looking for an assistant journal editor to help us with our biannual journal Speak Out, which is a fantastic resource of pronunciation articles. So if you're interested in that, please get in touch. We're also interested in recruiting a treasurer to help us with PronSIG going forward. So if you have any experience or you'd like to learn about any of these, please do get in touch, but be quick because the date for the deadline for applying for these vacancies is the 27th of July, so just 2 days away. If you would like more information on this, please do look at our social media page or our website for more information, or you can get in touch with us at pronsig@iatefl.org if you have any questions. Finally, we have a really exciting online event coming up in October, and this is going to be a fully online conference, and the theme is Equality and Inclusion in Pronunciation Teaching, providing global representation. And the brief of this event is, in the face of native speakerism, accent prejudice and inequality, the act of pronunciation teaching can be a loaded issue, creating debates and raising questions. For example, how can we teach pronunciation in a more inclusive way and create a classroom in which all accents are valued and treated with respect? I'm not going to read the whole information for you, but this is also available on our website and on our social media pages. So please do feel free to go and visit those resources and have a good look and see if you'd maybe like to contribute as a speaker to this event. If you would like to contribute, and you've had a look at the information, then please send your proposals to pronsig@iatefl.org. And the deadline for proposals is the 16th of August. We require a title of no more than 10 words, an abstract of no more than 60 words, biodata of no more than 30 words, and a photo, and that's for promotional purposes. We'd be really excited to hear from you no matter where you are in the world. We'd love to hear about your teaching context and your experiences. So if you have something to share, please do get in touch. So for now, we will sign off. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning or whatever time it is to come and learn a little bit more about teaching pronunciation creatively. Thanks very much again to Jaber for sharing this information with us, and please do enjoy the rest of your day.